Welcome. This presentation is presented by the Office of Special Education and Early Learning in the Kentucky Department of Education. This module covers special transportation, allocations, and funding.
The videos in this series may be used as a training tool to support school districts when planning and implementing transportation for students with disabilities. The video series is intended to be used in conjunction with the Guidance for Special Transportation in Kentucky document linked here, which covers a variety of topics relating to transporting students with disabilities, including those covered in these Special Transportation 101 training videos. Let's start with one of the most frequently asked questions. May non-disabled students ride in vehicles purchased with special education funds? The answer is yes. Non-disabled students may ride in vehicles purchased with special education funds, such as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or IDEA funds, but there are conditions that apply. The Office of Special Education Programs within the U.S. Department of Education, also known as OSEP, clarify conditions related to transporting students who are non-disabled in vehicles purchased with special education funds. They provide guidance in OSEP letters, such as the OSEP letter to Letjeharms and letter to Bowman, which we will discuss briefly. While the guidance in the OSEP letters arose in the context of children who were enrolled in a Head Start program, this question could very well arise in other educational circumstances as well. For example, a situation where a school is attempting to combine transportation for disabled students in an effort to implement the least restrictive environment, or LRE, requirement would also implicate the same considerations. The letter discusses how students without disabilities may ride in the vehicles funded under IDEA Part B, but these conditions apply. The vehicle must make the same trip and incur the same expenses whether or not non-disabled children are aboard. None of the non-disabled students may displace a student with disabilities from the vehicle, and the funds may not be used to purchase or operate a vehicle that is too large for the intended purpose of providing transportation to students with disabilities, simply to avoid necessary cost allocations for non-disabled students. Now, the OSEP letter to Bowman from 2013 primarily addresses students who are homeless. However, it does state that IDEA Part B funds must be used only to pay the excess costs of providing special education and related services to students with disabilities. IDEA Part B funds may be used for the cost of special education and related services provided in a regular class or other education-related setting to a child with a disability in accordance with the IEP of that child, even if one or more non-disabled children benefit from these services. The OSEP letter to Bowman goes on to talk about how schools and districts may use IDEA funds when it results in an incidental benefit to non-disabled children as a result of special education and related services that are provided under the IDEA to children with disabilities. However, the buses should not be purchased with IDEA funds if the expectation is that the buses will be used in whole or part to transport students without disabilities. Here's an example of improper spending. Using IDEA funds to buy more or larger buses than needed just to transport students without disabilities is not allowed. These funds must be used strictly to support transportation for students with disabilities as required by their special education plan. Now I'll share some supports and resources. When a bus driver or transportation staff member observes that a student with a disability is exhibiting recurring behavioral issues or other issues on the school bus, the staff should report this behavior to the school principal or district transportation director. The district's transportation director may need to share concerns with the preschool coordinator, district's Director of Special Education or 504 coordinator for guidance. It's important for districts to have processes and procedures in place for transportation staff and building administrators to know what steps to take next. In many cases, the special ed director, preschool, or 504 coordinator will need to be informed of the concerns in order to address them appropriately through an ARC or 504 meeting. If still staff are unsure or need additional help, any district staff may contact the Kentucky Department of Education Pupil Transportation Branch in the Division of District Support. Or they can also contact the Kentucky Department of Education Office of Special Education and Early Learning Guidance and Support Branch for additional help. All districts also have access to the Special Education Regional Technical Assistance Centers, known as SERTACs, for assistance, training, and support. There is more information on special education, IEPs, and special transportation, as well as contact information for the Guidance and Support Branch available on the ARC and IEP page of the KDE website linked here.
Thank you again for what you do to keep our students safe.